I see this question being asked over and over again. What is the best area to live in Athens? If I move to Athens, which area should I choose? Which area is the safest? So in this video, I'm going to answer all those burning questions. If you're considering moving to Athens, or if you already decided you're moving to Athens, but you have no idea where should you even look for the apartment, you will find out in this video. And towards the end of this video, I will also share with you a couple of maybe secret tips on what to actually look for and what to do and what not to do when you're looking for an apartment in Athens. Okay, let's go. Not only in Athens, in any bigger city that you're moving into, it is very important to carefully choose the area that you want to live in. Maybe in a small town, it doesn't really matter because there's not so much of a distinction between different areas. But when it comes to a large city, there very often is a distinction. And sometimes, often really, it can make a really big difference on whether you're actually going to enjoy your time living in the city, whether you're going to be happy to coming back home, or whether you will start regretting your move. So this is actually a really, really important, if not the most important decision. I often see people asking questions, what is the safest area to live in Athens? And in my personal opinion, Athens are very safe. Athens are one of the safest cities I've been to and I lived in. In fact, I came back last night well after 11, just before midnight, after spending evening walking around the town, going to taverna and just walking around different districts, taking photos. And I never, even for a second, as a solo female, felt unsafe in any way. Yes, there are some areas in Athens that are maybe slightly controversial and maybe slightly, I would say, problematic. And while some areas, many neighborhoods in Athens are super charming, cute, beautiful, inviting, vibrant, and bustling with life, some others are maybe not so charming and slightly problematic. But I spoke to many people that actually live in Athens, and they would say it's not like you're going to go to this area and something's really going to happen to you. But maybe there are certain circumstances, or I would say actions that are happening in those areas that maybe you don't want to be looking at every day. And it also depends on the person that you are and the topic itself of the neighborhoods that are safe or not safe in Athens. It's quite controversial and dividing, so I'm not really going to go into this right now and in this video. Instead, I've decided to keep it helpful and informative for you. And I will share with you my favorite areas, my favorite neighborhoods in Athens, meaning that if I was looking for an apartment today or tomorrow, those would be the neighborhoods that I would like to live in. Those are the neighborhoods in which I would like to find an apartment. I will list 8 different neighborhoods. I know it sounds like maybe it's a long list, but trust me, Athens is large. There's so many different suburbs and neighborhoods and districts. If I wanted to cover it all, we would have to be here until tomorrow, and I'm sure you don't have all that time. But I've chosen the 8 of my favorites because there are differences also between those areas, and it largely depends on what you're looking for. What could be a great area to live in for one person, it could be an area to stay away from for somebody else. If you're looking for a peaceful, quiet, residential area, some neighborhoods that I'm going to be mentioning here might be a complete no-no for you because they are a little bit too lively, let's say, or they are a little bit too much out there, and you really want to stay away from, not stay away from these places, but stay away from renting an apartment there. So this is what we're going to do. I'm not going to mumble anymore, and we're going to get to the list of the best areas to live in Athens. Before we do that though, please do me a favor. If you enjoy this kind of topics or if you enjoy my videos, please subscribe. It means a lot to me. I am at the moment on the journey to monetization. I actually made a video about it the other day, and you subscribing would mean a lot to me. And also you will not miss any of my future videos. So please subscribe. And of course, if you're enjoying this video and enjoying this kind of content, give me a thumbs up. This will boost the algorithm and let more people see my videos. So let's go. So the first area that I will be talking about is the area that I live in, which is Kalithea. Kalithea is actually a suburb of Athens. It's not center of Athens, but it's really close to Athens, and I actually really like living here. The longer I'm here, the more I appreciate Kalithea, because it is really the best of both worlds. It's very residential. You will not see any tourists around here. Maybe there's expats, there's definitely expats around here, but no tourists will come here just to, explore Kalithea. So it's very residential. It has a feel of a separate town, really. You have everything that you need here. Tons and tons of supermarkets, shops, restaurants, bars, cafes. There's just anything that you might need in the place where you live, you will find it here. But at the same time, there is a metro station, the electrical the line number 1 is running through Kalithea, and it's only 4 stops away from the center. So you jump on a train and you are in center of Athens in 10 minutes. Literally 10 minutes you are in Athens. But on the other side, you can actually quite easily get to the seafront, to the beach as well. It's not as easy because I've counted the other day, it took me around 50 minutes with walking and taking a tram, but still, it's pretty close to the beach in my opinion. So the Kalithea is very nice area to live in. The thing is that there's also a lot of rental properties here. Whenever I look or browse through the apartments to rent, I always see a lot of apartments in Kalithea. So it seems to be really popular. So you will definitely find a lot of properties here, especially small flats, studio flats, and 1-bedroom flats. And it's pretty affordable. Because it's outside of the center, the prices here are local prices for the restaurants, for everything. Those are the prices that Greek people pay. You're not going to be overpaying because you're a tourist. And it's the same with apartments. Though you will not find the cheapest places here, but pretty affordable. Definitely you can find something here between 420 and 450 for the studio apartment. It's maybe not the most charming of them all, but it's nice. There is a river running through close to the metro line, which is funny because it's actually a dry river. Apparently there is a river running under the concrete because it's like a concrete river. Strange thing. But along this river, there is a really long walking promenade, and I go and take my walks there almost every evening. There's a few tavernas there. Now, next to Kalithea, you have Moschato to the south and Petralona to the south. Both areas are also really nice and in similar character. Moschato is definitely a little bit smaller than Kalithea and less vibrant, because Kalithea really feels like a town on its own, while Moschato really feels like a neighborhood. But you have everything that you need. You also have there's a really large Sklavenitis, which is one of the biggest supermarkets here in Athens, in Greece. And it's large, it's great because you can buy everything, not only food, but you can buy stuff for your home and things like that, clothing, whatever you like. There's also a really large jumbo shop and Leroy Merlin and a really large bazaar, supermarket. But the neighborhood itself is also pretty cute. It's really nice to walk around, and it's quieter than Kalithea, although Kalithea is also pretty quiet. And to the north Kalithea, you have Petralona. Petralona is slightly closer to the Athens. It's 2 train stops closer to the Athens, and it's also on the other side close to a really cool area of Gazi. So Petralona is also an amazing area to live. If you're looking for a neighborhood that also feels very residential, very local, not touristy at all, yet has a really nice vibe to it, has great restaurants and cafes, but it's almost walking distance to the center. I'm saying almost because I actually walked all the way from here to like Acropolis or Plaka, doesn't matter, but not everybody wants to walk for 45 minutes. But from Petralona, it's even closer. So Petralona is also a really nice area. I don't spend as much time there. I only went a couple of times for something, but because of its proximity to the Athens center, it starts having a little bit more of an Athens charm to it. That's at least how I see it. But when we're talking about charm, my next favorite area in Athens is Koukaki. I love this area. This is my newest discovery. I just went there one afternoon to check it out for this video, and I loved it. It's not very large, it's pretty small area, but it's super charming. You have there's actually 2, but one main pedestrians only street, which is lined with restaurants and bars, and there is an ice cream shop there. They do vegan and some sugar-free ice cream, but that was some of the best tasting ice cream I've had in Athens. So if you're in Koukaki, you need to go and have ice cream on that pedestrian street. But apart from the pedestrian street, Koukaki is very quirky. It has a slight bohemian feel to it, but not too much. It's residential, peaceful, slightly artistic, slightly bohemian, but none of these things are overwhelming. And I also seen few apartments for rent, and given its proximity to the town center, the prices weren't so bad because Koukaki is really close to the center. You can walk from there probably 20 minutes and you are already in Athens town center. So Koukaki is definitely something that I would consider. If I was actually looking for an apartment tomorrow, it would be one of my top 3, okay? I will tell you what are the other top 2, okay? So the next area that I want to talk about is near Koukaki, and it is Kosmos. Kosmos is a large residential area. It's a really large Athens neighborhood. I like it. A lot of people say there is not much charm to it, because there is not much charm to it. It feels very much like a working people neighborhood, but there is charm. There is some kind of alternative charm to Kosmos. For me, it's a home to one of the largest, if not the largest, but definitely one of the largest laikis, which is farmers market in Greece. I went there many times just for the laiki. In recent years, it's also becoming sort of a cultural center of Athens, and there's more and more really great restaurants and bars opening there. So a lot of people say that the Kosmos has great potential, and I'm really looking forward to see what's actually going to become of this area. What is great about Kosmos is that if you're looking for a place or for a pretty affordable apartment with amazing Acropolis views, this is probably where you want to be looking, because it's really close to Acropolis. There's a lot of hills. So if you find an apartment somewhere on top of the hill at the top of the building, you will have Acropolis view to die for. I actually went to in Neos Kosmos was actually the first apartment I was viewing when I was looking for my long-term apartment, and I really liked the apartment, but the guy wanted some crazy amount of money and wasn't prepared to negotiate, so I didn't take the apartment in the end, because it can be more expensive in Neos Kosmos because it's just so close to the center. And also you have a tram line running through Neos Kosmos, which is great. And you also have a metro station. I think it's the red metro station, goes through Neos Kosmos. So there's a lot great going on in Neos Kosmos. Definitely an area to consider, but I would not say that Neos Kosmos is the most charming area in Athens. But if we want to talk about charming, quirky, unusual, bohemian, it doesn't get better than Exarcheia. This is one of my top 3. This Athens neighborhood is one of a kind. I don't think I've ever seen neighborhood like this in any other city that I've been to. It has a very, very dramatic history. It's also been for many years considered as an anarchist district of Athens. I even heard that at some point it was kind of living its own life and being left to its own devices. But there is also a lot of really, really dramatic and tragic history connected to this area. Exarcheia for many, many years been considered a more of like a bohemian enclave, like a place for anti-culture, for those who don't agree with the system. I mean, I love it. It really resonates with me. So when I went there, I really wanted to like it. And it was one of those very few places where I had high expectations, and those expectations were still exceeded. Almost all buildings and walls in Exarcheia are covered by murals by well-known artists, but also some vandals, you know what I mean? A little bit of both, but it's just so interesting. The little streets with quirky cafes, quirky little bars. If the people that pass by you, they different as well. It is also full of small little bookshops, shops where you can buy vinyls, shops where you can fix your musical instruments. It's just so fascinating. I just loved walking around and taking photos and looking at the street art and watching people in the bars or in the cafes, in tavernas, just sitting there. And it's just such a different type of area. It's super safe these days. It used to be considered dangerous because of many things that happened there in the past. It is super safe now. In fact, I have a friend that lives in an Exarcheia and she loves it. If I found a nice affordable apartment there, I would move straight away. So after Koukaki, the second top 3 for me is definitely Exarcheia. But this is not an area for everybody, okay? You have to be the kind of person that likes this vibe, all right? So if you would consider it, you might know straight away that this is something for you, but I definitely suggest popping in, taking a walk, maybe spending a day there, spending an afternoon, get the feel of the place before you actually rent an apartment there. Okay, enough about Exarcheia because I could be talking about this place forever. So let's move on to the next one. And the next one is Kypseli. Another surprise that was for me because I had no idea what to expect from the place. I've heard people saying there's not much to it, the place is just residential and it's just busy and all that. But then I've heard some different opinions about the place, so I decided to go and check it out for myself. And it's super nice. It's very picturesque. There's a lot of hills. A lot of the streets in there are quite steep, going up and down. But when you are at the top of the street, you will have two types of views. You will have this view of this steep street going all the way down and then going all the way up, but then you will also see the mountains behind. It's just such a picturesque, beautiful area. Kypseli is actually known for being very multicultural and home to many expats as well as first and second generation immigrants. There was a large influx of immigrants from Africa, Asia, and Eastern Europe coming to these areas, and it shows when you are in there because you can find shops with stuff from all over the world, which I actually really love, because this is the one thing that I've really enjoyed when I was living in London, that whatever you wanted to cook, whatever type of food you wanted to buy, you could, like from whatever place in the world, you could have always find it in London. And I always very much appreciate multicultural places like this around the world. So, but at the same time, it still feels very residential. I don't think you would see many tourists going all the way to Kypseli to just look around, but architecturally it is also very interesting area, but because it used to be quite an affluent area. There were some rich people's houses located there, with a lot of them being demolished since, and the apartment buildings were built instead, you know, the 70s and 80s style of buildings were. So you have a little bit of a like a concoction, like a mixture of architecture, but you can definitely see the presence and the past in this one area. It's super interesting, and it's actually one of the very few areas, neighborhoods in Athens that is that feels quite green. There is a one big park not far from it, and there is like a green hill not far from it. So there's lots of places even just to take walks. So yes, you guessed, Kypseli is my number 3 of the top 3. Okay, yes, this is a list of 8, but out of those 8, my top 3 are Koukaki, Exarcheia, and Kypseli. I love all 3 of them for the combination of being close to the Athens center, the residential feel, and so many different layers of diversity to this area. So Kypseli, I think it's a really great area, but if you don't like walking up and down the hill and you have some mobility issues, this probably is not the best area for you. And there is no metro station within the area either, but it is pretty close to the center. You can even walk to the center, or you can just hop on the bus. All those areas that I mentioned so far, they are pretty affordable. I'm not mentioning here places like Plaka or Psiri. Those are very touristy areas. If you want to live there, you don't want to live there. I'll tell you why towards the very end of this video. And they're also expensive. If you come into Athens with a lot of money, then that's fine. You can look for apartment in those really trendy places, but still, you don't want to live there. Wait until the end of this video and I will tell you why. So all the areas that I mentioned so far are pretty affordable. Again, me with the Greek wages, I could probably find an apartment there that I could afford. Okay? The next 2 areas in Athens I'm going to be talking about are a little bit more expensive, but they are really great. First one is Piraeus. It's a port town. Piraeus really is a town in itself, which has been sucked in to the greater Athens area, but it really is a town on its own. It's a port town. This is where all the ferries to all the islands depart from. But there's 2 parts to Piraeus. There is a part where the ferries are, which is not exactly the most charming. But then on the other side of this little peninsula, if you look at the map, you will find Passalimani, which is beautiful. I was very lucky that when I came to Athens, I actually stayed in Piraeus for first couple of weeks, and I loved it. And I really, really wanted to find an apartment there, but I couldn't find anything within my budget. And apparently sometimes you can find things cheaper, but they're really hard to get. So, but it's basically you living in a marina, and especially on the other side where the Pasa Limani is, and all the way towards to Micro Limani. So those are two different marinas, big marina and small marina. This big one is in the actual Piraeus area. It's really charming. It's really picturesque. You've got a long seafront, marina front promenade. You can walk it for hours. You have everything that you need in there. You've got tons of shops. It's literally, it's a vibrant, bustling town. It's not the quietest. If you're looking for very peaceful area, Piraeus is not going to be for you. It's a busy town. It feels like a small, busy town, but you have great transport option. You have 2 metro lines starting in Piraeus, one on each side. You also not too far from the tram line, and of course you have all the buses as well. And you're never really going to be that far from the beach. There is no beach in Piraeus as such, but the nearest beach probably going to be like 10 minutes on a tram or on a bus from Piraeus. But the place itself is really charming. There's endless possibilities for evening sunset walks. There's so many great restaurants, cafes, bars, places to buy food, places to buy anything. I really like Piraeus. So if you want to live outside of Athens, but within the public transport means to Athens, and enjoy seafront, marina, and not be too far from the beach, this could be a really great area. And I could probably risk it and say that this could be a really good place if you want to move in with a family. Definitely, I think it will be a really nice place. And last but not least is the whole Athens Riviera, really. It's definitely the most expensive one on this list, and it's definitely one that at the moment I couldn't afford. But if you're looking for a place where you want to stay with the family, again, you don't really want to be in a city, but you want to be close enough to the city. But the priority for you is the seafront, is the opportunity, is the possibility to go to the beach multiple times a day. You want to take a morning swim or evening sunset walk by the beach. You want to be close to really nice fancy marinas as well, but at the same time have pretty residential feel and feel like you become part of the local community. Majority of the places along the Athens Riviera would be great for you. The most famous are, of course, Kalithea. You've got the Faliro area. That is a nice area. You have a really nice beaches, city beaches there. I go there sometimes. The Eden beach is really nice. And then down the Riviera, you also have, of course, you have a Kalithea. You have places, I'm going to look at the map now. Alimos. This is actually where the famous Kalamaki beach is. It's very busy. I don't go there. But if you like the beach life, sitting on a lounge with cocktail and all that, this is a place for you. And then you have Vola as well. I really hope I'm not butchering these names. But literally all this area along the Athens Riviera is lovely. But like I said, first you need a little bit more money to rent an apartment there, and second, you would probably need a car. There is one metro station, I think it's a red line, Elleniko is called, but apart from that, really, you outside of Athens. You need a car to, especially if you come in with family, you probably will need a car. So those are the 8 areas that I suggest for anyone who comes to Athens, to live in Athens. Now, very important, I'm going to give you a very, very short list, 3 or 4 things that you really need to look at when renting a place in Athens. I will say that to you from my personal experience, mostly. First of all, the summers are very hot here. Winters, although they are not cold like Polish winter or anything like that, because of the humidity and because the houses are not made for cold weather, it can get very cold inside. You don't want to, although I very, very much like my apartment, I would never rent a penthouse style of apartment ever again in Athens. Penthouse style of apartment, if you don't know what it is, it's basically it's like a freestanding little flat on top of the roof. They are very often like a later addition to the building, basically just to find more apartments for rent. From what I've heard though, a lot of those, they used to be like a laundry places where people would just do laundry, like a little shed on top of the roof. A lot of them, they made very, very nicely, but why I don't recommend you living there. In the summer, it's a hot box. You have nobody around. If you live in an apartment in the middle of the building, you have a lot of the other apartments around you that kind of shelter you from the direct heat. This place is baking and it's really hard to cool it down even with air conditioning, so I have to run air conditioning longer, and the moment I turn it off, the house just heats up like crazy. And in the winter is the opposite. There is nothing sheltering this place from the outside elements. So it gets cooler, it gets colder and it gets more humid, and basically I would not recommend living in a place like this. So when I will be looking for a new place, because I definitely will be if I decide to stay in Athens. So stay tuned if you want to know what's going to happen next. But if I decide to stay in Athens and I'll be looking for another place, I would not get an apartment like this, and I don't recommend you do as well. And on a complete opposite spectrum of that, don't get one of those basement apartments. This, I was wiser from the very start. I knew that this is something that I don't want. My main reason was because this is Mediterranean country. And in countries like this, also from my own experience, because I lived in Spain and I lived in Malta, there are crawling animals on the floor. Basically, there are cockroaches, okay? In every country like this. If you live on a basement, semi-basement, those are not basement apartments, they are semi-basement apartments, it's just anything that is crawling on the pavement, it can just easily get into your house. Why would you want that? It's horrible. So that was my main point. I always try to rent something above, but also those apartments are dark. It's basically like you live in a basement, semi-basement. You will have small windows. They're going to be humid because ventilation is not going to be great. I've almost went to see one of these apartments. I had a viewing already set up, but the guy sent me pictures, and I've seen the windows are coming on the side of the pavement where people are walking. So I don't want to be opening the window and just people walking past, all the cats and animals and the dust from the pavement just going inside of your house. So you would end up not opening the window. You might even end up closing the shutters so people don't want to look inside of the house. That means your house is going to be dark and not very well ventilated. The third type of apartment you don't want to be living in, because remember earlier when I said to you, if you think you want to live there, you don't want to live there, is the center of Athens, the strict center of Athens. Yes, there are some very pretty, upscale, beautiful areas. I see the appeal, but Athens, just like some other parts of Greece and some other parts of Europe, greatly suffer from over-tourism. these days, this place is just packed full of tourists. I went yesterday to town to take some videos and take some photos, and I don't know what I was thinking. I made a mistake of walking through Plaka. I thought I'm gonna go crazy. There's just so many people. It's just person on top of the person. It was madness. You don't want to live in the center. You don't want to live in the center for few reasons. Which is center is like a strict center around Syntagma, Monastiraki, around these areas, Plaka, Psiri. First of all, they're full of tourists. You will feel like you're tourist. You will never feel like you actually live in Athens. If you are a digital nomad and you want to come here for 3 months and you just want to get the feel of the center, yeah, this might be a great option for you. But if you actually want to live here and feel like you're part of the community, like you really live in Athens, I don't think you will really feel it when you live in the center of Athens. Also, center of Athens can be problematic at times. There's more homelessness, there's more other type of illegal actions happening in certain areas. It's just not the best area to live in permanently. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Not being a digital nomad or coming for a month or coming for a week. That's a completely different video. And the last important tip for you when you're looking for an area, in case you find a place that is not on this list and you are not sure, I would always say look for the area that is really close to the metro station, to any line of the metro. It will make your life much easier. It'll be easy for you to get to wherever you want to get to. If you find work or job anywhere in Athens as well, it'll be easier for you to travel to and from work. It'll be easier for you to travel to and from the center or any other places. Yes, there are buses, there are trams, and there are trolley buses in Athens, and you can get to anywhere. Like, I really like public transport in Athens, but I highly recommend to live quite close to the metro station, unless the area is so close to the center that you can literally walk there, like Exarcheia or Kypseli or Koukaki. Okay, so those are the tips. Those are all the areas that I wanted to mention. If you are still here, thank you very much for sticking to the very end. I hope this was helpful for you, and I hope it answered a lot of your questions. Please subscribe. This will really help this channel, and you will be able to see the future videos, and give me a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, of course, leave the questions in the comments. I always answer, and I will see you in the next one. Bye now.